Okay. There we go. Ready, buddy? Ready? You ready? Got your spot finally. Kick that cat out of here. That's fantastic. Good for you. Way to go. Way to go, dog. Leg. Hi. Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's Thursday. Oh, I forgot to close my door. Un momento. I don't need everybody in the house to be bothered by me. Okay, here we go. Hi, everyone. It's Thursday. New Pope is in the house. He's from Chicago. He really does not like JD Vance. He seems to be fairly progressive in the vein of Pope Francis. Spends a lot of his time concerned about the welfare of immigrants, minorities, and other folks who are downtrodden, the poor, as you would want from a leader of a major religion. Seems to be exactly just a big giant peel banana to the American far right to select an American Pope who is very anti-Trump, anti-JD Vance. Wowee. That's big news. So I don't think the MAGA crowd is taking it too well, but that's kind of the point, right? That it's amazing when the largest single sect of religion in the world is trolling your government in such a way. I don't know if it's trolling, it's just sort of like putting their foot down and being like, no, we're not going to stand for this. But yeah, so other news, Trump came out with his big announcement, trade deal with a major trading partner. UK, we do like 3% of trade with UK. And the trade deal is not official. It's a framework for a potential deal. And in that framework, we cancel tariffs for steel, cancel tariffs for vehicles, so we get our Bentleys and our Rolls Royces. And in return, the United States gets nothing. So great negotiating there, negotiator in chief. You've done a great job. Just spectacular. So fantastic. Monkey, you look very washed out today in the camera. It's very, oh my goodness, it is very bright over there, isn't it? Why are you so bright? What's up with that? I don't understand why you're so bright. Well, the monkey's been touched by the Pope himself, and that's why she's positively glowing today. Other news, let's see here. Apple said they're going to integrate their AI into search features on their phones and other devices. Google stock took a giant dump as a result. Google's running some issues with their algorithm and with their reporting in their metrics, I should say. They're claiming that Google search is coming up with results that people aren't actually looking for, that are in fact Gemini just sort of producing an AI result at the top of your search bar that isn't something you specifically asked for. You're like, no, I want something specific, but it's like, how about these things? And I think Google's gonna have to have their own come to Jesus moment. Maybe they'll talk to the Pope and figure out exactly where they want to go, because I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure where they're going at the moment. Their search is getting further eroded by their incorporation of AI, and people are really actually starting to turn to other locations for search, which, for having a monopoly, I guess they're stagnating. Payments on BBBYQ for Class 6, which are the unsecured bondholders, have begun. So members of Class 6 are starting to get paid, which means a waterfall is not much closer. I don't know if they're going to go for paying out everything owed in Class 6, or if there's going to be some sort of debt for equity exchange that happens. They're going to be paying out at least 2.5% to bondholders. That's what was agreed to before the plan. But in order to make them whole and for everyone to be able to utilize those nulls, you may have to do a debt for equity exchange of some sort. So maybe there'll be shares heading out to those bondholders. I don't know. But we're getting closer. Anything else I need to add, Monkey, for today? I'm sure you guys will remind me and yell at me in the chat, and we'll talk about that. So, with that all being said, I have set up a TikTok. I've never used TikTok. I have no idea what I'm doing, but there is a TikTok, tiktok.com @TheHoustonWade. Once I get approval, I will be dual casting in vertical on TikTok while I do this. I don't know if it's going to be successful. It's probably going to be a giant technological misstep on my part. But, I should probably do my due diligence and try to, like, for once in my life, grow my audience. I should try that every once in a while, since I do this as my, not main job, but I spend a lot of time during my week doing these videos, preparing for these videos, and answering damn near every message I ever receive. So, that's a lot of my time. So I guess if I'm going to do this, I should probably try and like capitalize on it and make an actual living off of this. And I don't know what it'll do for Charity Tuesdays. I have no idea how I do charity shows on TikTok. But if I can get a big old TikTok audience in there donating, then woohoo! We'll get that going for us. So, TikTok screen. I go TikTok. There we go. Bring that sucker over there. I can click on you. I can. That's technically the TikTok screen there. But I want to be on that one. I know what happened there. I turn you off. Right there we go. Okay, so we'll get to watch me on TikTok. So I have 0 videos, 0 following, 0 followers, and 0 likes because I opened it up last night. So I have to apply for permission from TikTok to be able to do live shows. They said it'll take about a day, but because I have a decent audience on YouTube, apparently they usually just kind of stamp it and say hello. Hi, fat guy, what's up? Just FYI, keep your eye open for that. If you want to see me in vertical format, then we'll have that. Okay. Let's watch the world blow up. What are you doing, fat guy? You hitting for drugs? Drugs for you, baby. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh my goodness. Drugs. Yeah, get it, buddy. Get it right there. Right there. See all that? That's all drugs. That's just for you. Just for you to slurp up. Yeah. Okay. Well, the hot cat gets high. Ooh, turn off the intro, man. Ooh. I guess we hit the chat. So, chat, what do you have for me? Lisa Saw is first. Pope Leo the 14th already showed anti-MAGA sentiments on previous Twitter posts. Get the popcorn ready. Indeed. Is it ready, kitty? Is your popcorn ready? I think I'm already loving like Laura Ingraham and Laura Loomer, and I guess all the Lauras are like Laura Trump. I'm sure they're all just having a hissy fit right now. Matthew Uchbun says first. Well, you were the first to say first, but you were not first. Bill Coyne, India and Pakistan having a grand old time. Yeah. Well, Economic Times said a chilling 2019 study predicted nuclear war in 2025 for India and Pakistan. They have about 160 to 170 nuclear warheads each. Right now, they're sort of in a tit-for-tat stage with the responses are... The responses are sort of measured, like they're tit for tatting, but they are not yet full scale. But everyone's thinking there's going to be like a full scale war. They're really just yeah, I'm sure Apple stock's going to do great now that they're moving their giant iPhone factories to India just in time for India and Pakistan to nuke each other. So, woo! Titleist, happy birthday. Were you third? You're fourth. Alex Bishop, oi oi. Chris Taylor, is it true? I'm seventh. You are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th. Walter Estrada, 69th. Walter Estrada, Chris 7 is in between 6 and 9, so you're inserted in the right spot. Wonder where it is. Lisa Sa, do you think this administration fears the power of religion and faith? The communist dictators of the 1980s Eastern Europe were terrified of Pope John Paul II, and how many followed his beliefs? Well, I think the choice of John Paul being Polish was a very deliberate choice by the conclave. Just like the choice of the first U.S. Pope being very JD Vance, anti-Trump, is a very deliberate selection by the conclave. So yeah, I think this administration should fear a global leader who was put into that position specifically to put the administration in their place. Yeah, that's that. If I were Trump, that'd be a very worrying sign. I mean, Canada elected Carney as a referendum on Trump. The elections in Australia were a referendum on Trump. Obviously, the conclave election was a referendum on Trump. I guess we'll see what happens in other upcoming elections. The pro-Russian candidate in Romania was the leader in the first round of elections, but he only had 40% of the vote, and it appears as though the 60% of everyone else who voted for other candidates will now rally behind the non-pro-Russia candidate in Romania. But there's still, everyone's still a little worried that there could be a pro-Russian leader of Romania, which would be a very, very bad thing for the EU, for NATO, for Ukraine, etc. And I mean, it's a PhD mathematician up against a criminal soccer hooligan. Those are the two options that the Romanians have right now. So one can hope that they go with the PhD mathematician versus the uneducated, how many times has been arrested? 50 times, whatever, soccer hooligan, who's also pro-Russia. So other things coming out of Ukraine you should probably pay attention to is how many drone attacks there have been in the corridor from Ukraine to Moscow. This map from yesterday is pretty telling. I got to go, how do I get it? I got it here. I go there. What's in my messages? It was in here, and it was this guy. So this is yesterday. Drone strikes and missile strikes into Russia. You'll notice Moscow's here, right? This is Moscow Oblast. It's so strange that there's a giant corridor of all this stuff blown up, and they're blowing up telecommunication lines, pipelines, internet nodes, air traffic control, air defenses. And tomorrow is their big Victory Day celebration. Huge, giant march in Moscow. Trump has invited all sorts of world leaders. President Xi is going to be there. And right now the reports are that air defenses are just worn out. That they can't even respond anymore because there's so many drones and so many missiles flying overhead that they've used up all their anti-aircraft ammunition. They've been attacked so many times that they might not even be working. I think this is, if you are a world leader of any nation, the head of Cuba and the head of China are there, I would get the fuck out of Moscow. Zelensky was very clear. He was like, I am not responsible for your safety in Moscow. You enter there at your own risk. I cannot guarantee anything. So I would get the hell out of there. Because either the Russians are going to do a false flag and blame it on Ukraine, or Ukraine is like, what do we got to lose? Nothing. Vaporize them. So yeah, I would look at this map as a world leader and I would be sketched the fuck out. I would not want to be anywhere near Moscow tomorrow. Or what? When is daytime for Moscow? When that parade? What, in like 12 hours? So yeah, I wouldn't want to be anywhere around there, just in case shit hits the fan. Because what do they have to lose? Nothing. They have nothing to lose. Nothing at all. Not one tiny little itty bitty drop of anything. So, what do you think about that? Beep. We're in Moscow, Houston. I work for a Taiwanese company. I get paid in US dollars. Today, they informed us that banks will charge $50 US dollars for any US dollar bank wire transfers. We can now choose payment other currencies. Pick euros or Swiss francs or Canadian dollars. I don't know. You may as well choose a different currency at this point. T-Dot 119, Houston, happy birthday. Are you concerned about holding your GME shares through potential recession? At what point would you consider unloading? I'm not worried about holding GME through a recession, namely because everything through a recession is going to get vaporized. So you may as well be holding a negative beta stock during that time, since collateral is used to short GameStop. And so if the value of collateral goes down, then they're going to be forced to close their GameStop positions, making GameStop go through the roof. So that's why I'm not too worried at all about holding GameStop through a recession. I do think sales at GameStops will probably go down. Generally, in the past, video games have been a pretty safe investment for recessions because it's a cheap entertainment for people. Like, if you can't afford to go on vacation, spend thousands of dollars flying somewhere, getting hotel rooms, traveling, eating out, and doing all that stuff, you can buy a $60 video game and milk that for weeks or months. So it's always been a pretty stable investment during recessions. This time around, it might start to price people out because of tariffs. Consoles, physical copies, those things are going to start to get too expensive, and people may start looking at other forms of entertainment as a result. So, but GameStop seems like they're not going to be a game sales company anymore. They become a holding company where GameStop is just part of their holdings. It seems to me anyway. That guy? Are you sufficiently doped up? Yeah? Feel good about that? Oh, yes. He's down 2 pounds. He was 19 pounds. He's now 17 pounds. Aren't you just a fluffy little feather now, huh? Yeah. Yeah. When he weighed 14 pounds, the vet told me he was fat. That's okay. We'll get you high on drugs, and then you become an addict and you become rail thin. Marvel Studios. I just finished the Good Lord Bird miniseries from 2020 with Ethan Hawke as abolitionist John Brown. Excellent show. We need someone with insane righteousness right now to help change for the better. Any little known shows you recommend? Well, my nephew, his last name is Brown, and his first name is Theodore Parker. So to allude to John Brown, he is named Theodore Parker for Parker Theodore, who was one of Brown's lieutenants and a minister himself. So, go John Brown. Like, with a time machine, I would go back in time and I would just dump a whole bunch of M4s in the lap of John Brown and be like, get to it. That being said, any little known shows you recommend? Well, shows that like are poignant about history and things like that. Not necessarily that I know of. Goofy ass shows I recommend. I don't know if you've ever seen The Detour. Hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Jason, what's his butt? Was on the Daily Show. What's that guy's name? He's in it, right, cat, right. I don't know where it's streaming anymore. It was on like FX, I think, originally. But I was just thinking about it the other day that I might rewatch it because it's just so funny. I probably missed half the jokes because I was laughing too hard the first time. I haven't been doing a very good job of watching things recently. I watched with the roommates The Residence on Netflix last week before. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant murder mystery comedy. Amazing. Also, it stars the main character is a birder, so if you ever have any friends who are birders, you will understand that the humor that comes out of birders. Just, they're all autists. Yeah. Mark Sloan. Hello, Houston. Even if MOAS happens now, is there any chance that the Fed will print the money needed to pay us, and will the money be worth anything if they do? The chances that the money will be worth anything becomes less and less with each passing day. Secretary of Treasury Bessent today was talking about how the United States is flirting with reducing the payout of the face value of bonds to foreign holders of those bonds, which would effectively be treated as a default on the U.S. debt. And if the U.S. defaults on their debt, it I want to just say upends the financial order. It nukes the global economy as a whole. United States Treasuries, these bonds, they are the brick upon which the entire financial system is built. They are the foundation. You buy treasuries because you know they're going to pay out and the U.S. is good for it. And you use the face value of those treasuries as collateral to do all of your other plays. So everything else is secondary to U.S. treasuries in the whole of the global financial market. And if you erode the value of those treasuries, you vaporize banks, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, hedge funds, investment structures, index funds. They're all done. Every single one of them. You might think, oh, well, cool, we'll nuke the billionaires, woo! But it also nukes everybody else, right? And the billionaires, they can afford some nuking because they'll still have more left over in the end than you will ever have if you get vaporized. This is a thing Trump has done his entire business career, which is takes out way too many loans and then stops paying on them and forces the bank to renegotiate the terms of those loans. Or the face values of them to get anything back. It's that old adage, like, if you owe the bank $1,000, that's your problem. If you owe the bank $1 billion, that's their problem. Trump is flirting with doing this with the U.S. financial markets. This is different than Trump using collateral of some like kitschy condos for loans and refusing to pay, versus Trump using the collateral of the name of the United States, the good name of the United States, to for some reason renegotiate the terms of these bonds. On that news, interest rates for the 10 years went up again. Interest rates should be going down because the economy, the market's like, and everyone normally runs to U.S. bonds as safety as they leave the stock market. But it's not happening because people don't see U.S. bonds as a safe investment anymore because Donald Trump has destroyed the good name of the United States, and people know what's going to come, and it's going to be default. We already blew past the debt ceiling on Thursday, and we're facing default in the coming weeks, meaning we won't have the money unless we print to pay the loans as they are. So U.S. Treasury bonds might not get paid out. This is a very bad thing. This is super bad. This is like the worst bad thing you could possibly bad in the whole big bad world. If you are a nation, especially a nation who has who until a couple weeks ago had the reserve currency for the entire planet. That's why Oriana Moscow might not want to get paid in U.S. dollars anymore. I would go for euros. I would go for Swiss francs. I would go for, I don't know, Japanese yen, Canadian dollars, something like that. At any rate, because just imagine what would an asshole do in this situation. That's exactly what Trump is going to do. So ponder on that. Louis throwing some stickers out there. Ferris F. The spy loves war and economic uncertainty. It cannot stop flying. I smell a flash crash. I think your nose is on point. Reporting from the businesses who focus on the middle class are abysmal. Americans aren't spending. They're not going out to eat. They're not traveling. They're not buying cars. They're not, spending much on presents for their kids. At this point, I think enough of them realize that everything's in enough turmoil that's probably safe to play it safe. Safe to play it safe. That sounds redundant. That's redundant, right? Little stone cat. If you're like, well, my job depends upon logistics and the ports are empty, then perhaps I won't spend the extra money on blah. I will go without for now, right? My kid really wants this thing. We might not be able to afford rent next month. I'm not going to get that thing for the kid. It'd be really convenient to swing by Burger King and grab a meal, but that's $15. I can just go home and eat a bowl of cereal, and that's $1. These are the decisions that folks are starting to make right now in this economy, and consumer confidence, I think, is probably towards a low you might see in normal recessions, and it's got a long ways to go. We got credit card debt defaulting at high rates. We got cars being repossessed at record rates. We got homes in delinquency at rates we haven't seen since the Great Recession. We've got banks finally coming around to realize losses on commercial real estate that they're sitting on. We have savings have gone negative, meaning people don't have savings anymore. They owe more in debt than they have saved up. layoffs are starting to happen. We've got huge layoffs at UPS, big layoffs at auto manufacturers. We're looking at, union workers like Teamsters and longshoremen not having anything to do because there is nothing coming in the ports. So, yeah, we're kind of in a strange little place right now where everyone's just sort of waiting. They're waiting for the other shoe to drop because it's going to drop. It's going to drop hard. It was more than a week ago. The executive chairman of the Port of Los Angeles said we're 5 to 7 weeks out from shelves starting to get empty. Well, that was more than a week ago. So now we're 3.5 to 5.5 weeks away from those shelves becoming empty. The Port of Seattle today, officially no ships. No container ships whatsoever at the Port of Seattle. One of the commissioners of the Port of Seattle was on CNN today, and he said, hey, it happens. It's really rare when it happens. And so the interviewer asked him when the last time it happened. He said, oh, the peak of COVID. Those were good times, right? The peak of COVID, when you couldn't get shit, shelves were empty, right? And then inflation started to build up after that because we had to spend so much money to keep the market from collapsing. And then everyone was flush with cash and they had nothing they could buy. So the price of things that were available went through the roof, which then caused, quantitative tightening on the side of the Biden administration. And here we are with this fucking clown show all over again, doing the exact same stuff, only they don't have the excuse of a giant global pandemic to cause it to happen. This is a completely unforced error on their part. So, Chikashukla says, both are showing signs of cooling off. Are you talking about India and Pakistan? I sure hope so. I hope that their tit for tat is enough for now, and then they can go another, 20, 30 years without doing it again, at least. You are a security expert, so I will trust your news on this before anything I receive from anybody. So yeah, I really do hope that India and Pakistan are just taking a breather, man. Just chill out. Just hold back, take a breath, slow that heartbeat down just a smidge, and yeah. So of course Donald Trump in his press conference yesterday, he was like, "This is a thing that go on for hundreds of years." There's only been India and Pakistan for 78 years, my man. That's when it's been going on for hundreds of years. Oh, are you going to chew on my arm? Are you going to eat my arm? Is that what you're doing? You an arm eater? Are you that stoned? Just going to eat my arm? Yeah? Oh, yeah. Well, you tried. You tried, man. Yeah. Right, monkey? Right? World's most washed out dog. Maybe it's because this camera itself has a big chunk of that window coming through, so maybe it's just the light from the window washing you out, and I need to aim the camera down and then fix the up on it. Does that work? Does that work for you, dude? And we'll figure it out later. Okay. Lisa saw a Florida family of 5, mom, dad, 3 kids, recently spent $1,400 for a day out at Disney World. And he thinks they have a better time flying to Abu Dhabi when that Disney park opens. That is so much money. I remember the only time I went to Disneyland. I went to Disneyland in 1993, so I was almost 12 years old. Oh, you're knocking rocks on the ground, my man? You're knocking my rocks on the ground? Oh no, that's a bolt. That bolt right there. Okay. So one time I went to Disneyland was 1993. I was 11, almost 12 years old because my brother was graduating from San Diego State. So we went down to San Diego and then we took a day trip up to Anaheim to go to Disneyland. And tickets were $27 for the day. So this is 32 years ago. Right about this time of year. I remember thinking $27 to spend an entire... No, stop murdering things, you little monster. I remember thinking $27 seems steep. No, god damn you drug addict. Sorry, he's just trying to destroy the shelves here. So I'm just going to scratch his head until he falls asleep or something. And I'm thinking $27, that's steep. And, lift ticket at a ski resort was $25. So in my brain, it's like, okay, it's about the equivalent of a ski resort for the day. Okay, you're spending a day there, but you got a family of 5. You're spending $125 plus for that family of 5. Then you got to buy lunch and all those things, and those cost money as well. And but where we are at the moment is, what was, I'll spend a day's wage for the family to go to Disneyland or Disney World or whatever for a day, is now becoming, I will spend a week's wage. So the inflation of the cost of these items is outpacing that of people's earnings. And what it's doing is it's making these more of a once in a lifetime experience or once in a never experience for some people. They will never have. God damn it, you little fuck! Just stop being a dick. Can you stop it? I know it's my fault for getting you high and pouring drugs all over your face, but that's it. Let's just stop. Let's stop. Stop doing that, and I will give you up for $27 right now. I'll give you up for a day for $27. What do you think? Huh? But yeah, it's just outpacing people's ability to participate. You go to ski resorts, and you go to some ski resorts in Colorado. It's $300 a day. $300 a day for 1 day of skiing, for 8 hours of skiing. So you're going to spend $80 an hour or so, like $60 an hour to go skiing. That's a lot of money, man. And to get there, you go, you gotta buy that, get the condo, and you're gonna blah blah. So, food in the mountains costs $50 for a meal, for a burger. It's just, this stuff is starting to outpace people's ability to keep up with it, and eventually, all their clientele are going to be rich folks who don't care about the price of things. But there are not enough rich folks. There aren't enough of them. So, everyone's gonna get priced out of their homes. So there's gonna be no one can afford to work there anymore. Right? And look at Vegas. Vegas is empty. Vegas was changed from this sort of middle class getaway for the weekend type vacation spot for Americans to courting international billionaires Monaco style. It used to be you go play some slots, get a free drink from a waitress, tip her a token or whatever, go to the buffet, the all-you-can-eat buffet for $2.99, get T-bone steaks and all that jazz, catch cheap show. Now it's, you're going to be paying $27 for a hot dog. A cocktail costs $20. The rooms are expensive. It's all about maitre d's and valets, and there's not much space left for the middle-class American to have a quick, cheap getaway. And now that the Europeans aren't coming, and the Japanese aren't coming, and the Chinese aren't coming, Vegas is a fucking ghost town, and they cannot figure out how to draw the middle class back in. They don't have the know-how to do it at the moment. They're gonna have to completely restructure the whole city in order to survive what's happening right now. And I think, Disneyland and other amusement parks, they may have to think about that as well, especially as a recession is coming in. Families are not going to have $1,400 to spend for a day at Disney World. They just aren't. It's like that's the difference between hey, you want to spend a day at Disney World, or do you want to be homeless? pretty bad choice there. Fabrizio Mooplop, Chris Taylor, what is the story with the mile-wide underwater volcano off the west coast? Yeah, there's volcanoes there. Let us go to the Google Earth. Schwink. There we go. Oh, whoa. Google Earth, why are you so huge? Oh, that's because oh, yeah, all right, whatever. Google Earth would be huge. Okay, so. Ding, 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 ding. We have several volcanoes. So we have a whole chain of volcanoes, which is the Spreading Ridge here off of the coast, northwest coast of the continental United States. We also have a series of volcanoes as well. I think the one they're talking about is one of these guys, these little nubbers in here, that's off the Oregon coast. It's erupting. I mean, it's still thousands and thousands of feet underwater, but it's a hot spot. So there's hotspot volcanoes all over. Hawaii is a hotspot volcano. Um, uh, Fiji, Tahiti, those are hotspot volcanoes. Samoa, we got these island arc ones, those aren't hotspots. Well, also La Reunion and Mauritius, these are hotspot volcanoes here in the Indian Ocean. These guys here, those are hotspots. Go to the Atlantic, you have the Canary Islands are a hotspot. The Azores are a hotspot. Sorry, those are Cape Verde. The Canary Islands are hotspot. Cape Verde are hotspot. Azores are hotspot. Iceland is a hotspot. On continental U.S., hotspot volcanoes are things like Yellowstone. Yellowstone's a hotspot volcano. So is Long Valley in California, out here, in this area here, Long Valley, California. Sorry, Long Valley's here, Long Valley, California. These are hotspots that used to be under the ocean, right? They used to be under the ocean. Used to be a little guy like one of these dudes right here. Can't remember which one it is that keeps popping up in the news. And what happens is that eventually the continent moves over it, so the hotspot starts firing through the continent itself. So while it's oozing this basalt rock, this oceanic rock, the minute it starts hitting the continent, it starts to melt a whole bunch of continental rock, which is really high in silica, and makes the volcanoes much more explosive-y. So these hotspot volcanoes, they happen all over the Earth. It just happens to be one on this little plate right here, the one Fuca plate, this teeny tiny little plate right here that's subducting under the northwest. But it's interesting because there's a bunch of monitoring on it, and they go, oh well, look at that, it's going puny pop. But you're looking at probably millions of years until it starts to pass under the continental rock and get explosive-y and make some interesting things happen. The hotspot volcano that is Yellowstone, as the continent moved over, you can see this big valley here in southern Idaho. This is essentially the continent moving over the hotspot over years and years and years and years and years. And right now it just happens to be right here. And the reason why there's such a bend in this is probably because when India hit Pakistan, is that it hammered and tilted everything and it caused a bend to happen in its course along under the continent. When it was out here in the ocean, basalt flowed like crazy. And so when it was a fresh little guy, after it came out of the continent, lots of basalt got flowed all over what is now the Columbia Plateau. And we're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of feet of basalt over hundreds of thousands of square miles. And the flood basalts here are so deep that you could probably cover the Earth in 2 or 3 feet of basalt, like the entire surface of the Earth in 2 or 3 feet of basalt from how much flowed out of here. It's one of the largest flood basalts in the entire world. But as it encroached deeper into the continent, deeper into the Rockies, like you can see that where it bisected the Rockies in half. Like you got the Rockies of Idaho and Montana. You have the Rockies of like Utah and Colorado, right? And it just got a line just got cut in half by this huge volcano just passing through, sort of just smearing this caldera across the entire region. That's what will happen eventually when these little dudes pop over here. They'll make for that interesting stuff as well. And I'm just kind of rambling on that too much at the moment. What are you doing? What are you doing? Just pass out. Just go to sleep. Just go to sleep, dude. Just go to sleep. Okay. Did that one. MS, hi. Education Secretary got her letter corrected by Harvard. Show. We can do that. That's funny. She sent a kind of rambling, not very, what's her name? Education Secretary McMahon? Images. Here we go. Yeah. Go there. No, I don't want to search it. I want you to just open the stupid image for me. There we go. All right. So, yeah. So, oh, you can't see because that's the Earth. Boom. There we go. Here is the image. She sent a letter being basically like, and then Harvard, or someone claims Harvard corrected it. Read it for yourself. It's true. They did a very good job correcting it, and it was a very poorly written letter. Rose Moon, I want Louis Tegel from the Philippines to be Pope, but oh well. Oh well, indeed. I mean, I'm sure if Donald Trump wasn't such a clown, there might have been a Pope from Africa or the Philippines. I think it was very much an FU to the United States of America, specifically to select an American Pope who was anti-American. I think that's exactly what they're doing. Just the way that they selected a Polish Pope during the height of the Cold War to be Pope. So it's falling in line with what they do. Kitty, I need to drink water. Oh, you are falling asleep. Excellent. Aaron Sounds in Houston. The cost to borrow on Finger is at 238%, and last week it was at 27%. Ham says we can see up to $200 to $1,000 a share when it goes. Best of luck. I would love to see that. That would help me out quite a bit because I've got my whole 50 shares of Finger. We'll see it. We'll see what happens. Again, I think for us to truly realize big numbers on these stocks, we need the market to just fall out from the bottom so that the collateral isn't there for them to make plays to continue to short. We've seen the cost to borrow on GameStop go to 1,000%, and we did not see share prices in the hundreds of thousands of dollars when that happened. So they can happen. Just twiddle them thumbs. See how the days go. Legacy Productions. Any thoughts on where GME will be next week? I forgot to look at the ye old GME. Where are you? Options chain. Bing, bong, bing. Let's look at the options chain. Okay, so for this week, we're sitting at 26.5, so we're up a little bit today. Not too much in the money. We need to make that jump to 27 to get 1.2 million in the money. It looks like there's lots of action, so probably people added on a whole bunch of really cheap options for $27 for tomorrow. Probably not such a bad gamble. We can get 1.2 million shares in the money if this thing closes over 27 tomorrow. Next week, that is the question. Has a lot been added next week? Not so much. To still focus on these 30s, we don't have big numbers in the money. Got some 5,000s at $23, 5,000 at $25. So maybe 1 to 2 million shares in the money overall at the moment. Starts to make a big jump if we get up to 28 and close there. And the next big leap, probably 29 to 30. If I were seeing, like at this $23 level, if there was like 60,000 of them purchased, then we'd be setting up like we were last year. But it doesn't look quite like we're there yet. There's a whole bunch of people throwing money at the 55s. That happens. And on the put side, well, what do we have for big puts? We don't have much big purchases for big puts at the moment. There's a lot at $40, 141 of those. Say a lot, but a decent amount. A lot of people betting against it at 26 and 26.5 and 27. That's kind of interesting. I don't think the 25s will get triggered. The other thing people were talking about was January 26. A huge number of deep puts. So we see thousands happening at $85 and above. And these, or I guess $75 and above, and these puts might be being used as hedges against plays or being bought up by that new GMEU, the 2x leverage GME ETF. These might be ways that they're leveraging against that ETF, or leveraging for that ETF. Hedging for, I should say. Yeah. There's still some big ones low down too for those yearlies. My guess is people are making plays for there. I mean, there's a chance it goes up. I don't think we're going to see it like it was last year. I see no indication that Roaring Kitty is in on this and that he's making a play like he did last year. So I am going to buy some call options just in case there's some weird action happening on Monday due to swaps expiring, resetting of who's and what's it's. But I'm not planning for action like we had last year. Just kind of throw some money at it and hope that it pops green. It'd be wonderful if Roaring Kitty all of a sudden tomorrow buys 60,000 contracts. That'd be hilarious. But I'm not seeing it happen. So, yeah, I'm going to wait. Maybe the stupid Class 6 payout will be finished and I'll finally get paid for Bed Bath & Beyond. MS. Also, Pope Francis was concerned for warming climate. Let's hope that this one is too. I think so. I think this is a fairly progressive Pope. I think he's a lot more empathy than we could have hoped for. Aaron Salentine also says, I am so ready to see Finger at $200 a share, making $90K off $1,000 is a great return. Why not, right? And 9, the Pope, go Bears. Or I must say congrats on TikTok. Well, nothing has been accomplished on TikTok yet. As I have 4 followers. Woo! Okay, I should probably just throw the link in there. So here we go. Throw the link in the chat. We'll paste that in there. Bam. There we go. Gemini Super Chat. See the Carney interview. He praised Trump on revitalizing international security. Thought Secret Service was meant to stop the president from getting burned like that. The faces Carney made during the interview, several of them are going to be memes. There's the one where his brain broke, where he's like, argh, and then like he gave like the slide, like the view, that meme of the girl. She's like with the house burning on fire. He did one of those. In his press conference afterwards, they're like, can you tell us what you were thinking? And he's like, if you couldn't tell what I was thinking, then I did a good job. And she's like, no, we could tell what you were thinking. He did that much of a poker face when Trump was just sort of droning on. I do want to know what they talked about in private without the cameras. Because I still bet that Carney was like, look, bucko, we are signing exclusive deals with the rest of the world, and we aren't going to need you as a trade partner at this point. They saw a 17% decline in trade with the United States and a 23% increase in trade with the rest of the world. They're selling boatloads of cattle to Europe at the moment. So they're now the second largest supplier of beef to Europe as a result of these silly tariffs that the United States has slapped on them. We are managing to coalesce the entire globe against us, and they're going to leave us in the dust just because we're pissing them off. If a school bully comes along and makes your life hell, you're going to be like, well, I guess I don't want to hang out with you. I'm going to go hang out with all these other people who hate your guts. And there's more of them than there are of you, so now you are ostracized. And that's sort of what we're doing. We're being a school bully. Everyone's like, I'm done with this bullshit. I'm too old for this. And they're going to go hang out with the people who aren't bullying them and, shake hands on that. And they're going to continue to meet in the lunchroom, hang out, trade snacks, and you're going to be alone and hating yourself because your parents don't like you that much. That's why you lash out. And they don't make you lunch and you don't have any money and you're poor and you're angry and you're just going to be angry and alone forever. And that's what we're heading towards. You get a moment, oh my god, does it mean the fucking Bears are God's team now? Ernie Elizondo, you already won. Thanks, Houston. Louis says smash that like button. Aaron Salentine, also the corporate world, Popeyes tweeted the new Pope, yes. That was a great marketing. Maybe laugh. Oh, and in the Popeyes logo, because it's Pope, yes, Popeyes. I get it. Just Body Chicago Pope sounds like one of those blaxploitation parodies like Black Dynamite. Can't believe this is real life. Keeping it breezy. Happy birthday, Houston. I was hoping to log on and see a pic of Kenny G posted behind you next time. No, not yet. Hasn't happened. Aaron Sound Team, I have 2 call options on Finger. One, we hit $100. I can sell 30 shares at 100 and exercise the 2 $15 stock calls for 3,000 and then sell the 300 shares for 20K, making 17,000 profit. Is that a good idea? Anytime you take profit is a good idea. I have the problem of not taking profit when I should a lot of times. I'm like, I'll be up 100%. I'll be like, ooh, I'm up 100%. I wonder if I get this thing to 200%. And then 5 minutes later, I am down 60%. So take it when it makes sense to you. That's the best advice I can give. Meanwhile, HW, I'm desperate. Help. Any Euros here know about the decent place that's hiring educated professionals so I can send a CV? I need to get out of here. And you're over in Israel, so yeah. If you know, tell me too. Anywhere that needs someone who speaks English to teach astronomy or physics to people. I don't care what age group. I don't care. University, community college, whatever. Tell me. But yeah, Toby Wild too. He needs to get out of there. You want to go to Greece though. That's where you want to go. So if you know anything in Greece, let them know. Julius Memmi says Cuba's president is there talking about Moscow. So do something, Ukraine. Yeah, Ukraine could really upend the global power structure with one afternoon tomorrow. They really could. Or Russia could do it by being a little overzealous in their false flag. So we'll see what happens. Aaron Sounding says there's a lot of short squeezes happening right now in penny stocks. I think it's shorts closing short positions before the first crash market wide. If I were a serial short, I would probably close out all the penny stocks first. Anything that was bankrupted, just close it out. Worry about it later, because what you don't want is you don't want to deal with trying to close legit stocks, mid caps and small caps that are legit, that are rocketing to hundreds or thousands of dollars a share, while also having the penny stocks start to rocket to hundreds or thousands of dollars a share at the same time. You want to close out your Lehman Brothers, your Blockbuster, your Radio Shack. You want to get that stuff closed out now. So you only have a couple you got to deal with that are on the bad end. So you close all the cheap stuff first, and then you focus on what can we do about the GameStop. Phil Fleck, Chicago Pope airs on NBC this fall. This fall, a man from Chicago is the Pope. Eric, 5 million student loan holders will get wages garnished. Yeah, that's what they're threatening. Perfect timing too. I mean, just perfect time. Perfect, absolutely perfect time. Economy's collapsing. People are losing their jobs. First thing you need to do is make sure you garnish their wages to pay back loans that, for the most part, have already been paid off, because the interest has been so high and collecting for so long that it's another case of just we're so dumb. We're so stupid. You see all these people that are like, you don't need to go to college. You can do whatever. You can avoid going to college. You know who isn't telling their kids to avoid going to college? Rich people. Rich people are still going to send their kids to college. Why? Because that's where you make the money. College-educated folks make more money. The problem is that we put a barrier in the way for everyone else to also get that same benefit of going to college, which is known as student loans. Rich people, they can pay all day long. They donate a wing to the college, they buy a hospital room, whatever. And their kids go to their school, go whatever school they want, right? And then when they graduate, they have no loans, they have a trust fund, they're fine. It's everyone else who has got to pay back loans that will never get paid off, right? The terms of the payment to touch the principal are so high that they're never going to do that. And they're going to have to defer, they're going to have to get income-based paybacks, it's just never going to work out. And so what we end up with is this way of sort of marginalizing the best and brightest among us so that we don't truly have a meritocracy on our hands. it's unfathomable to go to a 5-year-old and be like, all right, buddy, you want education? You're going to sign right here $50,000 a year from now through when you graduate 12th grade, when you're 18, and then you're going to graduate with, $1 million in loans. And then you got to start paying those back, buddy, even though you don't have a job, you don't have a home, you have no real world experience. So you better pay it back. It's no different than doing it with college students. You want to have an education, you want to become professional. Like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to become a lawyer, right? A doctor, an astronaut. Well, you need college degrees for that stuff. And we tell these kids they can be anything they want. And then the minute they want to be something, we're like, whoa, buddy, maybe college is a good idea for you. Maybe you should learn how to weld. And then we're going to make, 900,000 million billion welders across the United States? There's only so much welding that has to happen. And welders right now make a pretty good living because there aren't 10 million of them. So if we start flooding the world with a whole bunch of people who don't actually want to weld, being forced to weld for a living, then the pay goes down to absolutely nothing. And then what? Oh man, I wish I'd gone to college, gotten a skill other than this, because I only know how to weld and there's no welding jobs. And the ones that are there are paying 4 cents an hour. That's kind of where we're ending up here. So yeah, garnishing student loan holders is just so stupid. Just forgive the student loans, make public colleges and universities tuition free. Problem solved, right? If you are a college educated person, you pay $510,000 more over your lifetime in taxes to the U.S. government. So you're paying taxes to the U.S. government while also paying the U.S. government to educate you. So you're getting taxed twice, essentially. You're getting taxed $200,000 for education, another $500,000 for earning more because of your education. So why don't we just say, hey, since you contribute more to the Treasury than anyone else, that essentially pays for your school. We can just do that. And we'll end up on top with a fast-growing, educated populace that can handle a service economy, which is what we are. We are a service economy, not a manufacturing economy. There's manufacturing elements, but for the most part, we're a service economy, and we need college-educated people for service economies. Anyway, Juice Mammy. Orange Clown announced Judge Jean Priero will be appointed interim U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia. Well, cool. More reality TV doofuses to run things around here. That's just fantastic. Way to go, America. Good on you. Aaron's Sounding to pay up my student loan of $45,000 with the AMC short squeeze back in 2021. Thank God. I made a 50K on that squeeze was enough to pay back the $45K. Good for you. Pancheco Ron. Houston, have you ever played a board game called Cash Flow? By the way, happy birthday. I have never heard of Cash Flow, so no, I have not paid. By all means, tell me more. Lapotron. Murph, check out HBO's John Adams or Righteous Gemstones. It's good comedy. I heard Righteous Gemstones is really good. I'd like to check that one out. Eric says Trump caused an economic crash and he and his motley crew of incompetent appointees will not have a clue to fix everything they broke. They don't. They are monkeys with a hammer. Monkeys with a hammer do not build things. They destroy things. They don't know why they have the hammer. They don't know how they got the hammer. They don't know what to do with the hammer, but they're just swinging, knowing that bonk stuff. I mean, you get the Secretary of Transportation going on TV multiple times a day being like, this is all Pete Buttigieg's fault, right? The fact that we don't have enough air traffic controllers and the systems are failing. Dude, you're the one who canceled the audit of air traffic control effectiveness. You're the one who did buyouts of air traffic controllers while we're in the middle of a shortage. And you're the one who approved swapping over from Verizon to Starlink, which has been causing blackouts at radar sites. So these are all entirely your fault, dude. Pete Buttigieg went to Congress the way he's supposed to and said, hey, give us more funding so we can hire more air traffic controllers. And these doofuses didn't go to Congress and you're all fired, get the fuck out of here. Where are all air traffic controllers? Flying in the U.S. is going to continue to be sketchy, real sketchy. Right now, United Airlines is canceling something like 50 flights a day due to there not being enough air traffic controllers to grant and ensure safe flights across country. That's just one airline. That's millions of dollars a day. Let's whip out the calculator real quick, right? Turn off the Chrome. Calculator's there. Sweet. Where's calculator on my little? There we go. Okay, so let's say they're canceling 50 flights a day. 50 flights times, I don't know, 250 passengers in each flight, right? Times $500 a ticket. Okay, $6.2 million a day times $365. That is $2.281 billion a year in lost revenue for United Airlines alone, just because there aren't enough air traffic controllers. I'm going to run the United States government like a business. Anyone tells you to run the government like a business is a fucking tool. They're dumb. Dumb, and should not be listened to or even considered. You're too stupid. The U.S. government needs to be run like a government. Why? Because it provides underlying services that make the rest of the economy possible. So if we're going to save money and cut a bunch of air traffic controllers, cool, you just bankrupted every airline in the country. Good job, you absolute nut job. So if United Airlines is losing $2 billion a year on canceled flights, right? What's Delta losing? What's American losing? What's Southwest, Alaska, other U.S. airlines? What are they losing on all this? They're losing a fucking shitload. That's what's happening. So, okay, we're going to fire a whole bunch of people from the national parks. Let's save money. National parks cost us $3.5 billion a year and generate some $60 to $100 billion a year in tourist dollars for all the communities around there. So are you saving money by cutting $3 billion from national parks budget? No. You're eviscerating $100 billion in tourist money in all those areas around those parks. Parks are closed. No reason for me to go anywhere near Yosemite and get a burger somewhere or go shopping or get a t-shirt because it's closed. So why would I go there? Right? So they're not saving money by treating this like a business. Oh, we're going to stop testing food for bacteria and pathogens. Okay. Now our hospitals are full of people who have food poisoning from eating, poisonous chicken, poisonous salad greens, poisonous pork, poisonous beef. You're not saving money by doing this crap. You don't save money by cutting $30 million out of the maintenance budget for the levees around New Orleans. You end up spending $500 billion repairing New Orleans after a hurricane. It's very simple, man. Don't run the country like a business. Run the country like a country. Especially if you get a business bro's entire MO for running businesses was to go bankrupt time and time again. And then take out more loans and go bankrupt on those. So, yeah, if he's going to run like a business, he's going to run into the fucking ground because that's all he's ever done in his life. Ah! Okay. Do one more and then run away. J-Dog, can I reverse the BBYQ judgment denying retail shareholders that won't get paid? Retail shareholders will get paid if there's more money in the estate than there is what's owed to creditors. So it's what they can't do is they can't pay us until everyone else is paid off. And that's the way it is. The way it was set up was, the bondholders get 2.5%, and then that'll be it, and then they're happy with that. But they're going to get a lot more than 2.5%. They're going to get paid off everything they're owed because it appears the state has more money than what is owed. And if there's more money than was owed, we'll get a waterfall from it. So there we go. All right, that's it for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow for a Friday show. We'll do our little wrap up of what's happening in the week, and good luck to y'all. Right, fat guy? He's cool. He likes it. Okay, everybody, take care. I'm gonna blow up the world one more time here. Boop.